So much media, so little time. Who the heck keeps track of it all? Oh yeah, that's me. This is Bob Andelman, and this is the Mr. Media Interview, recorded live on blogtalkradio.com from the new Media and American League Baseball capital of the world, St. Petersburg, Florida. Eugene Mirman is one of the driest comedians I've ever encountered. He's so droll, so subtle, that at first it's difficult to detect if he's on or if he really believes what he's saying. So here's a hint. He's on. Mirman, who you may know from his guest appearances on the HBO show Flight of the Concords, or his appearances on the comedy website 23/6, is promoting his first book, The Will to Whatevs, A Guide to Modern Life. Now here's a sample of Mirman's humor taken from his coverage of the 2008 Republican National Convention. Among the people you hear him interviewing, Tucker Carlson, Mika Brzezinski, Joe Scarborough, a few civilians, and actor Ron Silver. Listen to this.
I'm here and I'm going to ask people what they think about Sarah Palin, the new vice president for Africa. She came out of nowhere, and we know this about her. She kicks ass. She was raised by wolves, two wolves, one man wolf and one lady wolf. And wolves, little fact about them, they can't even understand what an abortion would be. Let's find out what people think. What do you think of Sarah?
What do I think of Sarah Palin? I love Sarah Palin. She's a woman who hunts and fishes and catches big fish and shoots big mammals, and eats them. It's love.
Just as a woman, I'm sort of in awe of her for many reasons.
What are some of the reasons you're in awe of her?
5 children, going back to work 3 days after having the 5th child.
She shoots an automatic weapon.
She shoots a weapon, which I do.
Yeah.
Do you?
I do. And I like that. I'm going to assume she's gutted an animal, which I have.
You know she has.
I heard she killed a moose, and then I heard that she rode off on the rest of the moose's family as kind of a fuck you to the moose community. But also as a way of sort of just showing that she is a leader.
All right.
Well, I guess you can one-up Dick Cheney as a violence and vice president.
Yeah, she's never shot another hunter in the face, but she has bit a bear to death. Her husband won something, like a ski...
He won the Iron Dog.
Yeah,
it's a 2,000-mile, snow machine race.
This family kicks ass. That's sort of what you like about them.
You summed it right up.
Right. And they'll take their snow machine right into the Iran's face, shit all over them, and clean up this town of Iran.
McCain, let's face it, is a real agent of change. He has bills with Russ Feingold, Ted Kennedy, 15 other Democrats.
He signed the Declaration of Independence.
Eugene, welcome to Mr. Media.
Welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
Sure. How you doing today? Where are you?
I'm in Brooklyn, in New York, at my home.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, I want to start with something quite serious, something that I know you're an expert at. Tell me about the worst. Tell me about the worst band names ever.
I believe I had to judge the worst band names ever, but I can't remember. There were several that were terrible, and I think I had to decide some of which were the worst. But I think that maybe one of the ones that wasn't great was Rape Man. Maybe it was that was helpful. Maybe that, yeah. But there were lots of, I think, Hootie and the Blowfish. But everybody knows that that's terrible. Even Hootie, I'm sure, is like, I really, clearly he was, he'd had too much red wine one night and then was like, where Hootie and the Blowfish from now on.
I just let everybody else in on. Eugene participated in a worst band names ever judge-off in the new issue of Blender magazine. And I think one of the bands you did, I couldn't tell if you liked this band name or not, the Cherry Poppin' Daddies.
No, I believe that I said it sounds like cherries that steal the virginity of young ladies. I'm going to lean towards no. I didn't like it.
Okay, I couldn't tell.
I mean, they were looking for the worst one, so they started with lots of terrible names, and then the question was which one is worse. So is that worse than Hootie and the Blowfish or Toad the Wet Sprocket? I forget who won. I think because Toad the Wet Sprocket was maybe a Monty Python reference, and it was a little dirty. They were saved. They didn't become the worst.
I think the toughest category was the one where near the end it pit Hoobastank and Limp Bizkit, and somehow Hoobastank was worse than Limp Bizkit. I don't know. Judgment call, I guess.
I mean, I guess I have no strong opinion on two terrible band names. But, they're both welcome to tie for a terrible mistake. So yeah.
Well, folks, I want to give you a chance to call in and talk to Eugene, the author of the new book, The Will to Whatevs, A Guide to Modern Life. Give us a call, 646-595-3135. There's also the live web chat that accompanies all the Mr. Media interviews. You're welcome to ask questions there. We've already got a comment. Clay1313 says Eugene is one of the funniest cats I've ever seen.
Nice.
How did you get picked for choosing worst band names, by the way?
I mean, I don't know. I think that I was working on promoting the book, and so a lot of times when you're doing something like that, magazines will try to figure out ways to involve you, sometimes in something that you care about and sometimes something you couldn't care less about. So I think that somebody was like, do you mind, we'll tell you bands and you tell us what you think. So that's exactly what I did. So basically you get roped with stuff that...
And so in the big picture of bad band names, where does Flight of the Concords fit?
It's wonderful. I also believe that Concords, I think that might actually be a toilet in New Zealand, a brand of toilet or something. But I'm not totally sure.
All right. Well, I'm going to interrupt myself here for a minute. We've got a call already, so let's go to the telephone. Hi, do you have a comment or a question for Eugene Mirman?
Hi, Eugene. I was wondering if there are any comedians who are your favorite right now, any people that we may not know of who are up and coming.
Yeah, there's lots of comedians that I really love. There's this guy, Kumail Nanjiani, is very, very funny, and Larry Murphy is very funny. He does all the voices on an Adult Swim show called Assy McGee. Another person that's really funny is John Mulaney, who actually I think just this year got a job writing for SNL. But he's incredible. He's an incredible stand-up. I could sort of keep going because of how many comedians I know. Hannibal Buress is a very, very funny comic that just moved to New York maybe a year ago or something. Jacqueline Novak. This is a good beginning list.
I have one more question, and that's what is your least favorite question that you get asked?
Yeah, tell us now.
Tell you now what the least favorite question is?
Or the most common or your least favorite?
The most common is probably something to do with doing comedy in rock clubs or what is alternative comedy or something. Only because each time I answer it accurately and politely, but I answer it a lot. That. And then, amusingly enough, I have a joke in my book about how comedians don't want to talk about, like, how we're often asked if comedians are actually very depressed. And amusingly enough, when they were sending out the press thing, for whatever reason, they asked people in radio stations to ask me about comedians being sad all the time. So that's also one that, I don't care about but answer all the time.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you very much for calling. Okay, so I was just thinking about the size issue. Is size an issue? I mean, comedians, it used to be this thing, the jolly fat man, and he's always so sad in reality. I don't get that from you. The thing I get from you is, as I was saying in the introduction, is sometimes I'm not sure. Watching you, I can't always tell. Is this Eugene speaking, or is this the the comedian. Sometimes it's just so dry.
I know. You never know with me. See, that's an example of it. What did I mean? Did I agree? Was I being mysterious? Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably because I mean both, because I'm both kidding and not kidding, which is sort of my favorite thing when you can't tell what something is.
Now, the best example of that I found, and I want to play this, is I found the video of you talking about Scientology. And I'm
kidding.
Well, okay. See, now you clarified. I was hoping you would save that for after, but I want to play a little bit of that.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. But so forget what he just said.
Everything.
No. All right, just folks, listen to this. It's just short. Hold on. This is Eugene Mirman on Scientology.
It is a privilege to call yourself a Scientologist. I am one. I use intense ethics. I use them on whoever I want. I can do anything. I could finger an alien with my ethics. I see a car accident, you pass it by. I get in. I get in, and I'm like, what's up? Let's fix this. But I'll be like, you're a whim. I just killed a monkey. Let me give you an example of how much responsibility for the world I feel. You feel that much, I feel that much. Yeah, it went all the way around. I can teleport shit within 500 yards of my own body. And it's just like, you know how you'll set a goal and then fail at it? I don't do that. Well, I will pull over, I will get out, I'll get my picnic basket, and I'll be like, who wants sandwiches? It's car accident time. I take...
You know, on second listen, it's pretty clear that you're kidding. But on first listen, having dealt with some Scientologists, and it's a little unsure the first time. You got to go through it again.
Well, sure. I mean, the difference between what I'm saying and an actual Scientologist might not be that much, but I'm kidding, and I guess they, believe that they, want to watch a car accident or whatever it is. I mean, that was all based on the Tom Cruise video.
Well, you got some pretty strong response on the where that video was posted on YouTube. I gather a few of them must be Scientologists because they're not real happy.
No, but I think it's okay to make fun of religion if the religion you're making fun of is silly, which is often a lot of religions. You don't have to be mean about it to people's faces, but on YouTube, it's a great place to make fun of religion. That should be their new slogan.
Is Scientology funnier than Judaism?
No, it's just more recent.
Okay.
So I mean, it's much easier to be like, wait, when did this start? 1960 something? That sounds made up. And with Judaism, you're like, wait, 5,000 years ago? Oh, it's probably made up, but that mixes more history. Like half of it is just historical events that happened, and then half of it is magic. With Scientology, it's sort of like all magic and some pseudopsychology. It's like what's it called? Mormonism. That's like just from the 1800s. It's too recent. You can't make up religions that involve Pennsylvania.
One of the things I noticed in the book is you tend to drop. There'll just be like a phrase or a noun of some kind that'll just kind of drop in out of nowhere, or a person's name. It's very, it's very funny, and it's just what? It's like you keep having to go back to, what did he say? What? How did you? What prompted you to write the book?
Well, I did an advice column on my website for a long time, and then I also used to do an online column for the Village Voice. And sort of out of those two things, I decided that I thought it'd be fun to do a book. So I kind of, I actually got an agent that contacted me because of the Village Voice column, seeing if I was interested. And sort of with her, I made a proposal, and then we pitched it to different places. But I thought it'd be really fun to work on a book. I was right. I had a lot of fun doing it.
And what would you say your qualifications for writing a guide to modern life would be?
It's my insistence at my own qualification. It seems like It's funny. At first, when I thought that, I was sort of kidding, and then as I've seen a lot of actual self-help people, some of them are psychologists, but a lot of them will just be like, well, I'm 28 and I've seen a lot and I'm married, and sort of what qualifies them is probably like one terrible relationship where they learned a bunch. So in that sense, I'm just as qualified, except for I'm kidding, so it doesn't matter if I'm qualified.
Yeah, I think you have to take self-qualifying experts on life and careers and everything else with a grain of salt. So I appreciated what you did here.
Yeah, well, at least I'm self-aware.
Exactly.
Other people just insist that they're really telling the truth. I'm like, well, I'm kidding around, and if something I said is helpful, that's fine.
Well, we've got another call for you. Hi, do you have a comment or question for Eugene Mirman?
Hey,
you.
This is me. Okay, yeah, I have a question. It's a question about you and also about comedians in general. Do you find, like, if you see a comedian on the street, are the odds, are comedians generally approachable? Is it a good idea to, if you see a comedian that you like, to, like, go up and talk to them, or are they generally sort of more kind of guarded, misanthropic types?
I would say that if you see a comedian that you like on the street and you want to come up to them and say that you like what they do, then that's totally fine. Lots of people do that. I think if you come up to them and you like start joking around or are like, a lot of people, what they do is they're uncomfortable, so they'll start like being like fake mean or weird, and that's so that's always a nuisance. But if people are like, hey, I like what you do, and they say something nice, that's great. Or they ask you a very reasonable question, that sounds fine too.
So just be earnest.
The answer is don't act crazy and everything's fine.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks.
So, Eugene, if you see a comedian on the street and he's panhandling, is it okay to heckle him, or how do you handle that situation?
Yes, if a comedian is begging for money, you're allowed to heckle him the way you would a normal homeless person. The way that you harass homeless people, you should do to a comedian who's homeless as well.
Okay, so the same rule applies.
The same rule applies. So if in your regular life you, for some reason, are cruel to the homeless, then be cruel to homeless comedians as well.
Okay, good. You see, this is why you get to write a book, A Guide to Modern Life, because you have these answers.
I have an answer for everything. Like, how do you behave to a homeless comedian? And the answer is, it doesn't matter that they're a comedian. They're homeless, so treat them with the same level of admiration or, helpfulness that you would.
Very good. Well, so we've got a line open if you want to call up and talk to Eugene Mirman, 646-595-3135. How long did it take you to write the book?
About a year and a half or two. I think. I mean, I started working on it a while ago, and there'd be sort of times where I would take little breaks, but overall it took me about a year and a half or so.
Would you do it again?
I would, in exchange for a bag of money. But yes, I'd probably do it again. I had a lot of fun. It was actually really fun to I would often go away or stay with friends or go on trips and write. And that was actually a really fun thing to do, and I enjoyed it a lot. And now that I've written a book, I have a much better sense of the process of it and, how to do it. Before, when I first began, it was quite a sharp learning curve, but now it's, much better.
As I was reading the book, and now I'm racing to look this up on Amazon, I was reminded here it is. Alan Sherman, of course. I was reminded of the Alan Sherman book that I read when I was a teen called The Rape of the Ape, the official history of the sex revolution and the obscening of America. An ape, in his case, stood for American Puritan ethic. I was kind of curious if you had ever read that book.
No, but maybe I will. You never know how much knowledge I might want to amass.
It's a good book. It's very, very funny.
What's it called again?
It's called The Rape of the Ape, and ape is A period, P period, E period.
Right. The Rape of the Ape. I like that I came on here to sell my book, but really you sold me Alan Sherman's book.
If only Alan was here to appreciate that. Yeah. Alan, as I recall, Alan did the song Hello Mudda, Hello Fada. Here I Am at Cap Granada. He was a comedian in the 60s and 70s, I think.
He definitely was a musical comedian in the 60s or 70s. The specific songs he sang, I don't know. I can tell you that he didn't do Painted Black. I know who did that.
Okay, all right. I do think that Hootie and the Blowfish may have covered one of his songs, however. I've got a question for you from the web chat. Coconut wants to know, is Eugene doing a documentary with Showalter? I remember reading about that somewhere.
Yes, we're now pitching it around, but we're working on a documentary of me going back to Russia for the first time. So Michael and I, Michael actually had a show just picked up by Comedy Central that's with him and Michael Ian Black. But sort of along with that, we're pitching a documentary of me returning to Russia for the first time since I came to America. So that's true.
You were pretty young when you came, weren't you? I mean, you were just a kid. Yeah. So
a little kid. I didn't have time for them to redistribute all my wealth. I just.
So are you going back? Are you going to take your wealth with you so they can get caught up?
I'll probably lock my wealth up here so that they can't get it when I get there. And my wealth will have consisted of a printer and 2 computers, and that's it. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually I'm both excited to go back and also a little nervous because all the stories I heard, from when we came here and the reason we left Russia, none of the stories were like, it was great, but we wanted to see what else was out there. It was all like, our phones were tapped. It's a scary place. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. My family, I think 3 of 4 grandparents was born in Russia, and I never got any sense that any of them would encourage me to go back or that they had any desire to go.
When I told my parents that I was going back, my dad was sort of fine with it, but my mom was like, they're a lawless country. I don't know if you want to do that. And then she started sending me articles about journalists that had been within the last 8 years murdered in Russia. And, just to show that, the strong hand of totalitarianism hasn't gone away.
And it's funny. It's not funny, actually, but, I mean, there were a couple of years there in the late 90s, early aughts, where it seemed like maybe, it would be a reasonable place to go for a Westerner to go and experience. But now it seems like it'd be just as scary as it was 10, 15 years ago. So have a good time.
My guess is if you stay out of trouble, it's not like I'm going to go there and be like, I demand to speak with your leader. I think that, it's probably the sort of thing where if you're not doing anything overwhelmingly destructive, that it's fine, and it isn't like it was, obviously in the 70s or 60s or 50s.
Right.
But also, at the same time, something like 48 journalists have been murdered in the last 8 to 10 years. It's kind of a lot of journalists to kill. In a first or second world country, it's a little much. It's a little overkill.
Yeah, I think 30. They could have gotten away with 30, but once you top 40, it's
kill 5. But then when you kill 48, it kind of it's kind of a stain. It's a little embarrassing. And even if you didn't do it all yourself, that's just kind of a giant number. I'm sure there's no other country that isn't like China, that isn't a communist country that has anything close to that.
Mm. That would be the real chilling effect that we talk about here, but we haven't seen it in that regard. I've got another call for you. Hi, do you have a comment or question for Eugene Mirman? Go ahead.
You can talk to me.
Yeah, talk to Eugene. Yep,
I don't think they're there.
Yeah, some people get a little intimidated.
Yeah. I was gonna, I was gonna really stick it to them for that quiet voice.
Do you know anybody in area code 410? Because maybe they were calling you. Maybe you owe them some money or something.
Is that Providence?
I don't know. Actually,
I don't remember what 410 is.
I don't know. Well, Coconut has another question for you. Wanting to know if you'll be doing any TV appearances, say on Showalter's show or other things.
I don't know if I'll be necessarily on Showalter's show, but I'm currently on a show on Adult Swim called Delocated, which has just started airing, where I play a Russian mobster / stand-up comedian who's trying to kill John Glazer, who plays someone in the witness protection program who has a reality show about him.
All right.
So that's a thing. So yes, I'm on TV. And then I'll be on this season of Flight of the Concords.
Yeah. Now, has the new season started? The new season has started, hasn't it? Yeah, it's been on a couple weeks.
Yeah. They've aired like probably half of it or so. Yeah.
Tell me a little about that. How did you get involved with them to begin with in the first season?
I mean, I met them a long time ago when they first sort of came over here. I actually met them through Dimitri Martin because he had done the Edinburgh Comedy Festival. And then I met them when they'd come over. But a lot of the people that they used on the show, like Arj and Kristen Shaw and me, were people that they knew from, that they had met in New York before they had their show. And then as they were writing it, I think they had these people in mind. I mean, my character is called Eugene, so they definitely had mind for that character.
Well, I want to talk to you more about Concords, but actually the phones have lit up. So let's get people on who are calling in. Hi, do you have a comment or question for Eugene Mirman?
Hello?
Hi, go ahead. You're on.
Oh, hi. Eugene, I was a big fan of you and Bobby Tisdale on Invite Them Up in New York. Sorry to see that show go away. Is there anything more you're doing with like stand-up shows in New York at all or anything?
Well, yeah, I do a show every Sunday at Union Hall, and often Michael Showalter's there. And I'm pretty much there every Sunday that I can be. So that's sort of what I do now in place of Invite Them Up.
Awesome. What happened to that show anyway?
Rafifi closed, but also we had done it for a very long time, and I'd started to travel, and so did Bobby, so we couldn't always be around, and we felt a little bad having this show and not always being able to be there, or I did, and Bobby too. So, and also the place kept almost closing, so we decided that instead of it disappearing, we wanted to just have like a big finale, so we did 3 big nights. Yeah. And then we just kind of had like an ending that we could both be happy with, as opposed to just having it all of a sudden disappear.
Well, I really miss it. I really enjoyed it, and I want you to know that taking dates to that show got me laid several times. I don't know if I can say that on internet radio, but it's totally true.
Yeah, I think you can.
I think you can.
I am the great aphrodisiac.
The sexpert, right?
But Bobby and I have actually talked about doing it again. We actually just did it out in San Francisco for Sketchfest a few nights, and we probably talk about trying to find a place and maybe doing it because it was so fun to do. And he has a show actually that he does at the Word bookstore in Greenpoint. That's so fun. That's a really, really fun show. It's very.
What is it called?
Very fun. He does. The bookstore is called Word, and Bobby's show is called Wards of Merkin. He does that, so you can go to that.
Awesome. I'll check it out. I'll check yours out too on Sundays.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Sure. No problem.
Thanks. Yep. Thanks for calling.
Yep.
All right. We've got Eugene. We've got one more call. Let's go back and see. I know who this is. I think. Wait a minute. Hi. Do you have a comment or question for Eugene?
Hello? Is this?
Hi. Go ahead.
Hey.
You're on.
This is going to sound like a completely stupid question, but.
Okay.
I'm in a band and I'm the lead singer, and I kind of feel like a douchebag all the time when I'm on stage. So I'm wondering if you had any advice to, rocking out a little bit better.
Are you saying that you're the self-conscious lead singer?
Oh, yeah, and it's awful.
And you feel sort of uncomfortable on stage. Well, I would say that you have to either take it all, like, completely, where you're just, like, super uncomfortable and you break down and cry, or you have to just let go and have fun. And I don't know how to do that. I guess I know that a lot of bands in the 70s used, drugs to do that. But that's probably not good because you could become an addict and sell all your stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to go down that road exactly.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. So I would say maybe have a glass of wine and then do some sort of vocal exercises, maybe run in place. And then when you get out there, just imagine that everybody in the audience is crying and throwing up. And
that sounds
awful. And then you'll be like, oh, these people have their own problems. I'll just have some fun. This will cheer them up. Try to cheer them up. Think of it as, oh, they're going to let's get them to unwind.
All right.
Let me ask the caller. How old are you?
I'm 23.
23. Okay, I thought you sounded a little bit young. Yep.
Do I sound like I'm 12?
Well, not quite, no, but you sound a little young. That's why I was curious.
Oh, no, 23. Getting on in years.
Way to make yourself conscious.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to give us the name of your band, maybe.
To be in rock and roll, why don't you wait 2 years? You sound the perfect rock and roll age. This is the time to claim it, to live it.
Yeah, it's kind of working out.
What's the name of your band?
Less Than Zero.
Less Than Zero. And
I didn't come up with it, and I don't know. It doesn't come from the movie, but
it's like a movie from the 80s where people are on either high or on Wall Street or something.
Yeah,
is that right?
doing coke and dying in the streets and stuff like that. So it's really not working out for the image aspect of the band.
Definitely don't do the things they did in the movie to relax on stage. Because it will end up with financial fraud and drugs and death.
All right.
Well, Eugene, wait a minute. Let's keep our lead singer on for a minute, and let's put Less Than Zero into the worst band name ever category. Okay, I'm gonna throw out some of the same names.
I will not.
Oh, come on.
I will not do that. Less Than Zero is fine.
It's how does it compare with, say, Bowling for Soup or Scab of the Hut?
Scab of the Hut is horrifying. Less Than Zero. The question is, when you're 54 years old and say your band was really successful, and somebody, your son's friend, goes like, "What was the name of that band you were in?" and you say Less Than Zero, you'll be fine. And if you say Scab of the Hut, you'll be ashamed. That's the test.
There you go.
Between that and Mammoth.
I was in Aerosmith, it's fine. If you say I was in Less Than Zero, that's fine. If you say Hoobastank, that's not fine. You see how it works?
Yeah, I got you.
That's the sole test. If 30 to 40 years from now you have to repeat the band name to someone who is younger or any age really, how do you feel about it? And the answer is you'd feel fine because it's not stupid. Like, it's not actively stupid.
And that's saying I make it till then, as long as I don't go down that terrible path of, what...
If you don't become addicted to drugs, yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you become addicted but know how to, moderately enjoy your addiction. Nobody ever says that a moderate addiction is fine. It's because that rarely happens.
Well,
all right, I'll keep that in mind.
All right, Kaja Gugu to you, sir, and thank you very much for calling.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Well, that clears up a phone line. If you are waiting to call in, we've got Eugene for about 10 more minutes. So get your call in now, 646-595-3135. We were talking about the Concords a little while ago. When you started on that, did you see it going more than a season, or did you think, oh, this will never catch on?
I had no idea. I think everything that I've done, it seemed like it would be funny. It didn't just catch on, though. It became, they sold out, a national tour in an hour of, 3,000-seat theaters. It became very successful. But, it seemed funny, but I had no idea how. I can't quite always tell what people will like or dislike, Or I can maybe sometimes tell what they'll like, but sometimes they like other stuff, too. I try not to second guess that much.
Now, for people who, probably anyone listening to an interview with Eugene Mirman knows Flight of the Concords, but on the off chance that there's someone who does not, how do you explain the show? How do you explain the appeal of the show?
Well, I more often explain the show than the appeal, but because I would be like, and the reason people like it is because they like singing, they like jokes. The show is it's basically a musical sitcom. It's a sitcom with a handful of videos, It has, I guess, an offbeat sense of humor that's very funny and often based on awkward or silly things. I don't know. It's a lot of fun. I rarely try to describe shows that I'm on, but that's how I guess I do it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I will save you from going further with that, and we'll go back to the phones. We have another call for you. You have a comment or a question for Eugene Mirman? That's you.
That's me.
419.
Me?
Yep. Go right ahead.
Hey, Eugene. Love your show, man. Great show. I got a question for you. I'm supposed to ask you what I should put in my internet dating profile.
Well, how old are you?
24.
24, and meaning like what you should put as your favorite food or your band or anything?
Anything. I can't get girls, man.
You should just say only this: sexy, comma, barely racist, comma, willing to change. People love a project. People love projects.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's perfect.
All right, Eugene, thank you. I'm going to change that right now.
Within 1 week, you will have gone on 3 pretty good dates.
Awesome. I could deal with good. Eugene, thanks, man.
Yes.
Good talking.
All right,
welcome.
thanks.
You're very welcome.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
for that call.
Yep.
Sure.
Let's see. All right, I've got one more clip of Eugene I want to share. This is Eugene appearing before Congress and discussing the situation in Iraq. So give a listen to this, and we'll come right back with Eugene.
Let's get you now to Chairman Levin as he begins.
We thank you for your service to our nation. We look forward to your report and recommendations as to where we go from here.
Mr. Chairman, ranking members, it is my great pleasure to introduce myself. I am General Eugene Mirman. What would be the ultimate number of troops at the end of the year? Well, I would hate to give a definitive answer, so I'll give you a riddle. I think that we should make it seem like Iran committed suicide. Much of the advice that I have given to many of the people, including Prime Minister Maliki, is most of it is ignored. This graph will show you how intense everything is over there. We could have 0 troops if instead of troops we just call them something else. I'll have you know that this morning, just on my way here, I got to break the neck of a terrorist. So how many?
This man I'm talking to, he is multifaceted. There's very little that Eugene Mirman cannot do. So I'm going to put him on the spot and ask him to explain the title of his book, The Will to Whatevs. I've been through the book. I've read the explanation. I still don't get it.
What part are you confused by?
The will and the whatevs.
Well, whatevs is whatever. It's short for whatever. And the will, it's like the world is will and representation, or, the will is just a common sort of, where there's a will, there's a way. That's all it is, except for I'm about accomplishing everything and all things and giving sort of a guide, a blueprint to everything. And a lot of it is lies. So that part is good too.
And Eugene, is there anything that you cannot do?
Is there anything I can't do?
Yeah.
No. I think the question you mean to ask is there anything I can't do well? And the answer would be drive a train, probably some legal stuff, things involving medicine. But I can do anything. I just won't necessarily be great.
Got it. Very good. Got another call for you here. Hi, do you have a comment or question for Eugene Mirman? That's you, 202.
Come on, Washington, D.C.
Come on, D.C. I know you're there. I can hear you breathing.
That's what is that, 202?
That is 202. Do you have a comment or question for Eugene? Going once? Twice?
Gone.
Okay. All right. Well, just have to be... what is this? Clay1313 writes in the web chat, Eugene looks in that photo on his space, I guess he means MySpace, like he's having his Chuck Heston Moses moment. holding the book.
Oh, maybe. Yes. That's a comment. I mean, there's nothing for me to say other than, sure, I look like that guy thinks I look like. That's fine.
Okay. Now, the book has 2 prefaces and 3 introductions, which can either mean that you couldn't choose or you just have so much to say.
There was no reason to cut it down. When people only have one introduction, to me, it's because they're lazy.
Well, usually,
I have the courage to finally have several prefaces, several introductions. I'd considered making it all prefaces, introductions, and then just like one page at the end.
But usually when people have introductions and prefaces, it means that someone else has contributed a preface or an introduction. But you actually wrote the prefaces and introduction to your own book.
I had considered asking someone else to do it, and then I thought, no, probably the best way to do it is for me to write all of it because a lot of self-help books have this sort of cockiness that I find very funny, and some of them are helpful, but some of them are, have this sort of cocky tone that I wanted to kind of rid. So I did by having quotes of myself and, several introductions and things.
What kind of feedback have you gotten on the book from other comedians?
From the comedians that I've seen that have seen it, I've gotten very positive feedback, as you can see both on the back cover and on the first page inside. That's full of wonderful praise. Comedians. I think in general the feedback has been like that the book is funny, which is I think what often concerns most comedians. Certainly, it's kooky and probably questionably organized. But it's funny, and that's sort of a delight.
The organization is probably not going to sell a lot of copies. It's the content.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody ever buys a book because they're like, wow, this chapter structure is crazy. This is how you do it. I think it's fine. I'm just saying the feedback I've gotten. But I don't know who would bother to be like, hey, I read your book. Very weird. I don't like in terms of people I know. They might think it, or they might say it if I ask them, but it's not like I make people read my book and then tell me what they think, because I'm a normal person.
Because that's what I do when I have a book come out. I hand it to people and I sit down and say,
what do you
read
think?
it.
Well, I certainly have given it to people, but I've never been like, hey, did you check out my book? What's your favorite part? Let's have a chat.
I think you're missing something there. I do that all the time with my books. I've got another call here for you. Hi, do you have a comment? 256 for Eugene Mirman.
Yes, I do, actually. That the whole thought of that, sitting down with Eugene Mirman, have a book thrust upon you by Eugene and go, tell me what you think of this now. That is one of the most classic thoughts that's ever went through my head, and I think a lot. Eugene, I've always enjoyed the comedy. Love you on Delocated.
No, thank you.
The portrayal of the assassin is it's spot on and funny at the same time, which is kind of scary. That's you don't expect an assassin to make you laugh, and it almost seems to add another element of danger, which is good. But
yes, I'm dangerous both through guns and then also with laughter. I can tell a deadly joke, a joke that's full of poison.
Well, you've had those jokes told to you before that you laugh until you literally fear for your own safety. That
yeah,
you're not getting a breath. You're not. You can't breathe. You can't stop laughing. So that actually makes a whole lot of sense. Really looking forward to reading the book.
Thank you.
Wasn't really into as much comedy
Are you a little high?
Your vein as until you and Zach Galifianakis, until I experienced both of you guys, and which was really weird. The MySpace piece with the band's music and Sorry Baseball.
Yeah.
I deal with those cats on a daily basis, and it's alarming to be a musician and an artist myself, and it's alarming to run into the number of bands you do who send out those form letters so much. And it was a great thing to hear someone finally dig back, and the way you did it, you just got such a unique voice, and it's amazing.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for calling in,
man. Always.
Thanks for calling into the show. Call back again.
Catch you guys on the flip. Peace.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, Eugene, you thought maybe he was a little stoned, and
well, I don't know.
I found out.
I don't know. It depends also where he's calling from, because he could be calling from a place where it's really early.
Okay.
He's in Alaska or Hawaii.
We'll give him that.
It could be just really early.
I see that you
his words carefully. You never know.
I see that you're going to be opening for the Flight of the Concords this spring.
I saw the same thing. I'll be opening for them from in the Midwest, from Toronto to Austin, going down the middle of the country in April and May. And then I'm also doing a tour with John Wesley Harding in April, and going on the West Coast and a little in the East, Midwest a little.
Well, I know you've got to get going, so I want to tell everybody that they can buy your new book, The Will to Whatevs, A Guide to Modern Life, at great bookstores everywhere, or, of course, at Mr. Media, mrmedia.com. And to find out where Eugene is appearing next, and he's opening, as we say, for Flight of the Concords in many cities, check out his website, www.eugenemirman.com. That's solid, eugenemirman.com. You can also experience Eugene on MySpace, www.myspace.com/Eugene Mirman. Eugene, it was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining us on Mr. Media today.
Thank you for having me.
Good luck with everything.
You will now be disconnected.
Who said that? That was weird. All right. So for more great comedian interviews, surf over to our main website, www.mrmedia.com. That's where you can listen to my earlier conversations with Lisa Lampanelli, and That's a Hoot, Rabbi Bob Alper, Robert Schimmel, and many more. Please think about writing an online review of Mr. Media, casting a vote for Mr. Media, or marking Mr. Media as one of your favorites, whether you listen on Blog Talk Radio, Pointer Online, Digital Journal, Podcast Pickle, Vox, Folio, Mediafly, Podfeed.net, Blueberry, Zencast, or Odeo. And you can subscribe to the Mr. Media blog on Amazon.com's Kindle reader. And subscribe to Mr. Media on iTunes, and you'll never miss a show. Just search Mr. Media Interviews from within iTunes and subscribe for free. You can also listen with a piece of string and a tin can in many locations. If you've got an idea for a guest, email me directly at bob@Andelman, ANDELMAN.com. You can also follow me on Facebook or on Twitter, www.twitter.com/Andelman. Thanks so much for joining us today. I appreciate all your phone calls and your time, and always appreciate when you give up a little piece of your day to spend it with us. Come back real soon, everybody. Bye-bye.